Hey there, crafty friends. It's Tina from the Scrappin Rabbit blog, and I've got a project share for you today, as well as a tutorial. I made this really cute little box, and it is a new file that's available in the shop this Friday from SVG Cutting Files, and it is a carved initials log box. And so I think that it turned out super cute. So let me show you what it looks like. So you have this little box here, and you lift it open, and then there's lots of room for some yummy little treats, or you can put jewelry in it. I mean, I could have put way more candies. I have some more here. So as you can see, it fits a lot in this cute, super duper little cute box. And for the top, I put the initials for me and my husband. And then I added a ribbon to go around the front of it there. And I also stamped and embossed this little tiny tag. I used the Jaded Blossoms mini tag dies, and I used this cut here because I just absolutely love the little stitching on here. And then I also added a little heart, and the heart is from the Jaded Blossom banner dies, which looks like this. And I used one of the layering hearts, and I cut it out of red glitter paper. The sentiment says, "You plus me equals love." And that is from a brand new set, also available this Friday, called Mi Amor. And that is what I used to put this box together. So isn't that cute? And I added some sparkle on the letters because I thought that, you know, you always need sparkle. So that is my project share for you today. And I went ahead and cut all the pieces out, and I recorded myself putting it together. So I'm going to show you how to assemble this box in case you were interested in checking out this SVG. So let's go ahead and get started. Once you've cut out all of your pieces, this is what they look like. What I did was I lined up all of my pieces and grouped them together and sized them to be 11.5 inches, so that way I can make the biggest box possible using my 12 by 12 Cricut mat. And so these are the strips all sized together. If you do group them correctly, that's what will happen. And you just have to make sure that they're all lined up on the bottom so that you don't have pieces like this. You know, you want them all to be in the biggest grouping with the largest piece, so that this piece here is sized to 11.5, and all the coordinating cuts will be sized in with this one, so that they all still are coordinating cuts. You have these pieces here, which are going to be the top, so they are the bigger, and then this one here is a smaller one, and so this is going to be the bottom of the box. The top of the box is going to have this little notch here, and then I cut the letters out for me and my hubby. And I also cut out a little red heart. So you could use pattern paper, whatever you want to do. So the first thing that I'm going to do is go ahead and build my box with these little cuts here. These are meant to fold down like this because they are going to be glued to the top, so that once you have them all folded down, this will be like up here, and then you're going to glue them going around there, making the top of the box. So that's all you're going to do, is push down these little tabs, because that's what they'll be. They'll be little tabs that you glue down. And I am using the Cricut cardstock. I am really liking that cardstock. Obviously, they did a good job formulating it so that it cuts beautifully on the Cricut. And then all you'll do is you're going to add glue, and it'll wrap all the way around like this to make the top. Okay? And you are going to have an area where it does fold over. Okay, and then the same thing with the bottom piece. You'll go ahead and fold down these tabs in preparation to glue them down for the bottom piece. Now this is actually my bottom piece, and this is my top piece. So this one is going to be a little bit bigger because you want your top to be a little bit bigger than the bottom so that it slides over. And so that's basically how the basic assembly of this is going to be, like that. And in order for that to work, you will have to use some glue. I prefer to use this tacky wet glue for when I'm building 3D projects. Another thing that you can do to help ease with the assembly is to grab a paintbrush and then just kind of curl the paper so that you kind of break the fibers in there so that it's more rounded and you don't have any harsh edges. So you could do that before you fold the tabs down, or as I'm doing right now with the tabs folded. But just kind of sliding it and rounding the piece a little bit will help to create a more round and smooth finish for your box. So now I'm going to go ahead and start gluing my tabs down. So here is the bottom, here is the top, and then you just want to make sure that it's going to fit right over the top like that so that you do actually have a box. When you're gluing things together, sometimes you're not doing it, it's going to be different each time because it is a handmade project. So you just want to go ahead and make sure that it's all going to work, and it does. It's hard for me to see from the side if I had it lined up. But yes, yay, it works. So that is the top and the bottom. And what I did was I cut out another piece this size in the brown. Which one is it? Okay, so this one here, I cut another piece to put in the bottom of my box to give it more of a finished look. And then I cut another piece that was the size of this base piece to go into the top of my box to give it a more finished look. I like my projects to be as neat as possible. That's not always going to happen when you're dealing with glue. And I can go ahead and just use my ATG gun for this, since I'm not doing, this is not a 3D part. This is just going to act as a little bit of a reinforcement, as well as cover all of the inside tabs being glued down and any messiness that you might have made with the glue. So I just plop that in there and push it down. And then I'll do the same thing with this piece here, which will be the inside of the box, the bottom inside. Just plop that down in there. And this is optional. Like I said, I just cut the existing pieces out in the darker color to do that. So now you have the base and the top for your box. And then now you have these two pieces here, and these are going to layer on to the top however way you want to put them. You know, you can decide if you wanted to use the alphabet that you are given with this SVG, or if you want to stamp and do whatever. I'm going to go ahead and do it just like the SVG is pictured. And so I'm going to go, first of all, I like to ink my cuts. And this bottom piece is not really going to be shown. None of the edges will be shown, but this top piece will. And so I'm going to use some, let's see, I'm going to use this vintage photo and just go around the edges a little bit to give it a little bit of depth and just a little bit of dimension. I like that inking does that for you. And just doing that can just add a little bit of life to your project and give it a more finished look. And then I can kind of reach in and do some of these other areas in here, since it is layered. And I'm not getting every little bit of it, just a little piece here and there, because it is going to be the inside cut of a log, and so of course it's not going to be perfect, but doing that I think really just makes a huge difference and adds a lot more character to your projects, so it's definitely worth it. I have most of the distressed ink colors, not every single one, but pretty much all of the ones that came in the mini packs. I think I'm all caught up in those. There might be one pack that I don't own yet, and I have seriously considered building my collection of the oxide inks, and I was gifted a couple of them, so I have two to start off my collection with that, but I haven't used the oxides yet, and they do look like a lot of fun. But really the distress inks are perfect for going around the edges of your die cuts. So there we go. And a lot of this is going to be covered up because you're going to be putting that heart on there and your letters. So see how it adds just a little something there? I'm going to go ahead and ink my heart as well. So I need to find a red that'll match. So I'm going to go ahead and use this fired brick to go around the edges of my heart die cut, and it's going to give it a little bit of depth as well. Now I've arranged how I want this to lay, and so I'm going to go ahead and move those off because I'm going to glue this piece down here to the light tan. And the thing with circles on die cutting machines is they're never as perfect as when you use a die. So I always move it around to make sure that it's lining up as much as possible so that I don't have any edges sticking out. So I'm going to go ahead and find my tweezers, which can't seem to find. I like to use tweezers for gluing down my die cuts, and so I'm going to use my Zig two-way glue pen for the edges here. This is a really great glue for die cuts, especially when you have these smaller edges, because you can get right over on top of them and it will dry permanent. And I've never had any of my die cuts ever come apart using this. It's great. Some of the liquid glues are not that great. Sometimes you will have stuff popping off. The Scotch liquid adhesive that I use works pretty good. And so I just go over and I definitely add a generous amount. And with this centerpiece here, since it's so big, I can go ahead and use my ATG gun to get a few pieces in there. And then go ahead and line these up and glue it down. And then that's not going to go anywhere. It's going to be nice and strong. And I'll go ahead and lay down my pieces again how I had wanted them to look. If I can remember, I think it was like this. Something like that. So let me go ahead and get my heart down. And this, I'll go ahead and just use my ATG gun, or my Zig 2-way. And as you depress the tip, more glue comes out, which is really nice. And they last a while. I do go through them because I die cut a lot. And I like using tweezers, kind of gives me an idea of how I want to lay things. So I'll go ahead and lay this down like that, and then add the initials. And all this is personal preference. You can do it however you want. It's your project. I just think that this is such a cute little box. I'm going to have fun with it. And then lastly, my hubby's initial here. And there you go. So there is the top part of the box. And then now it just has to be adhered down to the top of the log here. And of course a log is not perfectly round, so this works out perfect because you have those little edges making it more rustic and realistic and tree-like, which is what you want to have. And I'm going to go ahead and use my ATG gun to get this top part put down. Or do I want to use my glue? I think I'm going to go ahead and use this. Just make sure that I get it going all the way around the edges. And then some down into the middle. And let's see, I want this to be the back of the box, the little seam. And then I'm just going to kind of stand up here so that I can try and get it centered nicely. To have that nice brown edging going around, framing the top. And there you go. So now we can fit it over the bottom. And now we have a finished project. Isn't that just so cute? Now, what you can do is when you're using any kind of glue, and if you have any glue spots, you can use this glue eraser to get any of the glue that might come through that's looking a little shiny, and to clean up your project a little bit more. And since I did have a little bit of glue leaking through the seams here, I'm going to go around with this and get the glue off and clean that up a little bit. And I'm thinking that I might add some bling with my sparkle marker. And then I'm going to go ahead, and I'm trying to think if I want to do the letters or if I want to do the heart. Let's see. I think I want to do the letters and then have that stand out. And there you go. There is my finished project. So I want to thank you all so much for tuning in today and visiting my channel, and I hope you like this little tutorial of how to make this adorable little trinket box. Maybe you want to do something like this for your Valentine and have some fun with it. I will be doing some more how to use the Cricut Design Space videos in the future. I didn't have a chance to go all into that this time, but I did want to get the assembly videotaped. But I will do some more Cricut Design Space videos coming up because I have some friends who have Cricuts and they have asked me to teach them some tricks on there. So I'm going to go ahead and work on some of those in the near future. But until then, you guys have a great day. Happy crafting. And until next time, bye-bye.